Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation Graphics and Tutorials here on Facebook. If you're catching us on YouTube, please be sure to come join our Facebook group where all of our videos air live before they're added to our YouTube channel unedited. And of course, if you're catching us live on Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Those links are in the video description depending on where you're watching. Before we dive into today's tutorial, I would like to remind you that if you enjoyed this tutorial and our other free tutorials and you are interested in learning Affinity Designer in depth so you can feel totally confident with your sublimation designs, then check out our Affinity Designer Digital Graphic Design Masterclass specifically tailored for the sublimation industry. This course is 15 modules, 100 hours of video content, includes printables, a fun certificate and t-shirt at the end, and chances to win prizes along the way. My favorite part, of course, is the design challenges that are incorporated into the course to help encourage you to use the skills that you are learning in really practical ways as it applies to sublimation. If you want to see what people are saying about the course, head over to our Facebook group and select the group hashtag ADMC, and you will see all of the things that people are posting and how they are feeling about this course. It has been a labor of love, and I'm absolutely enjoying seeing people learning and growing and just developing all of these new skills, and I can't wait to see where it takes their businesses. So that link is in the video description, and aside from that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing that you want to do is head to the link I've provided in our video description over to my website where you're going to be downloading the mug templates zip file. It is free. And when you unzip it, you'll see that there is one folder for mug templates. The rest of this is for other types of programs. So if you are using Silhouette Business Edition, Inkscape, GIMP, CorelDRAW, or similar programs, you should be able to open the PDF version and utilize that. I did include the PSD file, and then other than that, there is a PNG version for those of you who are using other programs or free versions of programs that don't allow you to use other types of formats, so that you can kind of recreate yours and just have your measurements set up accordingly. But if you have Affinity Designer, you can use the new template feature. So you'll be able to import this mug templates folder. I'm going to show you how. You're going to go to File, and then New. And then normally it's on your Presets tab. You're going to select Templates, and you're going to select Add Folder. And then you will select your Mug Templates folder. And this is the subfolder. So this was the main folder. This is the subfolder. So you want to make sure you select that subfolder, and it'll automatically import the two templates that I created. Now I'm going to go ahead and select my 15-ounce one, since that is typically the size mug that I do print, and I will hit Create. Now when you open up your template, you're going to see that you have some color-coded layers here. Now your top layer has the red. This is your instruction layer. So if you uncheck that, you're just going to see this white background. And then if you check that, you can see all of these different instructions I provided. Now, what you see here first is your top layer is just your basic instructions letting you know how to use your template. It's pretty straightforward. You'll come down to your other two layers and you will replace the graphics and center your designs accordingly within those spaces. And if not, other than that, you just make sure your designs are centered in the spaces and the bleed is set up for what you need. Now, you'll notice that I have two different background options here. One is for shrink wrap and one is for a mug press. The reason why is because if you are using a mug press, you actually lose somewhere between like 1/2 inch and 1 inch worth of space from the attachment not reaching as far as shrink wrap will. And of course, if you're using shrink wrap, you're probably using a convection oven. And if you're using a 3D vacuum press, you're going to get that full shrink wrap amount of coverage as well. You want to make sure that if you are using a mug press, that your designs are cut off accordingly so that you don't have extra design over here. Because what will happen is it'll sort of look faded, and that's probably not what you're going for with a full coverage mug. Everyone has different things that they use to sublimate their coffee mugs. So I did want to make sure I just addressed that to kind of give you a good idea about the sizing, because there is actually a pretty significant difference between using a mug press versus using other options for sublimating your coffee mug. Now, you can uncheck each of these layers. They're basically just designed to be your guidelines, and they do align with the actual guides that are on your page. If you happen to accidentally move one of them, all that you'll do is select the corresponding layer and then grab that guideline and snap it back into place. So like that. So that's just kind of make it easy for you. So you can uncheck the instructions layer and you'll just have your right space and left space to work with. Pretty easy. You just select one of the layers, you hit replace image, and if we go I'm gonna see if I can find a coffee mug design here. Not really one I would put on a coffee mug, but it'll work. Just for the sake of showing you guys. So all I did was select it and hit replace image, and it will automatically align it right in the center and to fit. The only thing that you might want to watch out for is if there's any dead space around your design. So if I zoom in, a little bit of dead space here on the side. So what you can do then is just take your vector crop tool and bring it in a little bit. And then deselect your, go back to your move tool, and then you can actually make that a little bit bigger. And you'll just want to make sure that you are still centered on the horizontal axis. There we go. So once you see that you've got your snapping lines all activated, keep in mind two things. One, if you don't see your snapping lines, make sure that this magnet is selected, and then you'll be able to see them. So that's the first thing. And second of all, keep in mind that you do have to move a little slow. If you move too fast, you're not going to see them. I've seen people kind of complaining about this, so I want to make sure I address this. You do actually have to move slow because you have to hit them right on where they belong. So that's all you got to do to get a design on each layer. And then for your background, you can do the same thing. So you'll click this to replace your image with your background, and everything will be clipped to your canvas. So if you're not using a design that's going to have two sides or one side, if you're going to do like we're going to do today, where we are going to do a whole design that spreads across the whole workspace, then you can actually just deselect those design space layers. But you do want to keep your guides just in case, so you kind of have a good visual reference for where everything should fall. So we're going to start by importing a background into our design, and then we'll add our little Polaroids and we'll add some fun text, and we're going to create this Merry Moments or Merry Memories coffee mug, which is perfect for the upcoming Christmas season. Photo mugs are so popular. You can do so much with them, and the best part is this is the perfect kind of fast-moving item that has a reasonable profit and that you can offer customization on. Now, really important, we are going to be focusing on this more in non-design tutorials, but there is a difference between customization and custom work. Customization is what you want in your business. Custom work, not so much, unless that's specifically your business model. Custom work is where someone comes to you and they say, hey, can you create this? And basically every order you get is someone coming to you saying, hey, can you create this? And you spend a lot of time and effort to try and make it match something they found somewhere on the internet, and you're probably not getting paid accordingly for your time. this is different from customization. Customization is where you allow personalization, adding pictures, adding names, different text options. That's customization, where it still is only going to take a few minutes of your time to swap out pictures, swap out names, add dates, and be done with it and get it printed. You want more customization, especially going into this holiday season where you want to be able to maximize your profits and decrease your stress. And offering customization like this Merry Moments mug that we're going to do tonight, that is going to be the perfect middle ground. You'll be able to just take people's photos, drop them into place of your template, and then you can add really text, words, anything else that you want from there. So let's go ahead and start by clicking up over to Creative Fabrica, my favorite source, and we will find some Christmas digital paper that will work for our background. So if you head over to creativefabrica.com, this is of course one of my favorite places to shop for things like fonts and digital paper. Digital paper serves so many uses, and we have actually focused on that in our last couple of videos, so be sure to check out those underneath our guides for our group or underneath the Affinity Designer playlist on our YouTube channel. Digital papers are such a fun and easy way to add different types of backgrounds and fill to your designs. I love the Creative Fabrica membership because you have the option to get all inclusive. The top rate is, I think, $29, but they always have really great sales around Black Friday. I think a lot of people have been able to get it for like $9 if you wait for Black Friday. Also, they have freebies every single day, which you can find underneath the freebies tab. And of course, they have other freebies as well. They also have really great bundle ideas. So you have a lot of opportunities to save, kind of depending on what your budget is. I did not get the membership when I first started designing. I didn't get the membership till a year ago. So for the first 2 years, I mostly took advantage of freebies, sales, dollar days, bundles that I could get, things like that to expand my font selection, clip art selection, digital paper, etc. So just keep in mind, like, I'm a really big believer in starting where you are. Certain things are worth the extra money investment. Other things are worth waiting until it is within your budget. Never feel like you should do something just because, you know, I'm doing it and I do recommend it. I do recommend this if it's in your budget. If it's not, there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to search for Christmas digital papers. And you can see we have a lot of options. I don't really want anything with glitter. Glitter is just not, I just don't feel the need to incorporate glitter in everything. No offense to anyone who does. It's just not really my cup of tea. Something like this would work. I think I'll go with that. Yeah, that's a fun one. All right, we'll download that one. All right, and then we'll just unzip it. I'm on a Windows computer, so however you unzip in a Mac will be different, obviously, or a different step, I should say. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and start by importing a background. Jasper says hello. So you can see that this says click to replace background. So we're going to click on that layer. We're going to select replace image. And we'll go to our downloads. And we'll pick one of our digital papers here. I really like this little red star one, so I'm going to go with that. Now, it obviously did come in a little bit smaller because it's when you replace the image, it's going to size it to fit. So all we're going to do is just stretch it out. Now you can see that this is beyond the edges of my workspace. This is a setting that you can check or uncheck. I like to leave it, I like to check it, so I need to check it right now so that it's not distracting all this that's around us. So if we go to view mode and select clip to canvas, Now it's only going to show us what's actually going to be on our design. So this is what I want. This is great. The next thing I want to do is I want to create sort of like Polaroid pictures. So the idea of Polaroid pictures. So I'm going to start by just clicking on my rectangle tool, and I will click and drag to create a rectangle. I'm going to fill this with white, but then I'm going to sort of make it like an off-white color. Now Polaroids are a little bit square. They are a rectangle, but they do have a square middle. So there's one layer, and I'm going to make a second layer here. So we'll click on our square tool again, and we'll just make this, and we'll set this to be the same measurements. So we're going to click on our transform panel, and then I'm going to make my width 2 inches by 2 inches, for example. This might be too big. I'm going to make this blue just so I can see it. I'm just kind of line it up. I mean, this is really eyeballing it. There's no specific measurements per se. I think that this is a little too big, so I'm going to make sure I lock that aspect ratio, and I'm going to do 1.75. Okay, I think that that almost works. Let's bring in our sides a little bit. There we go. If you don't want to actually make your own frames, that's okay too. You can simply, I'm sure that they have clip art of frames. In fact, if we go back to Creative Fabrica and we search picture frame clip art, yeah, see, you can actually just download some different types of picture frame clip art. There's some there, some there. These would be really fun to use for this kind of project. Here's some more. So you got some options there for clip art if you don't want to have to make your own simple frame like I am doing. Now what I want to do here is I'm going to actually intersect these, but the first thing I want to do is I want to click on that middle rectangle that I made, the square, and I'm going to right click and duplicate this. And I'm going to rename this layer, and this layer is going to be my picture layer. So that is where my picture is going to go. Then I'm going to select the other two that we have not named, and I'm going to make sure both of them are selected. My Boolean tools will be visible to me, and I'm going to hit subtract. So if I uncheck my blue layer here, you can see that it has subtracted that from it. Now we want these to be together because we're going to be able to fill our picture and clip it into this layer. So now I just want to click and drag to select my picture part, and I will right click and then group. And I'm going to name this picture frame, or Polaroid, you can name it whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see everything we're doing here a little bit better. Now I want to give my white portion of my picture a little bit of dimension. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is select that blue and send it below the other layer. So let's just click and drag to bring that down. And then I'm going to take that white layer and I want to go to my effects panel, and I'm going to choose the 3D option. And I don't really need this a lot. I need it just enough. So I'm going to set that radius to 1.3, and I'm going to bring down that opacity. I want it to be just enough that it kind of comes off the page, but not too much that it looks really fake. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'm also going to do my outer shadow, and we'll go ahead and offset that just a little bit, and we can spread that the radius out, and that's going to soften the edge of the offset. And we're going to adjust that a little bit as we move around. Now, another thing that I want is I want to give this, the picture frame part, I want to give it sort of a vintagey texture. I do know that I have some vintage papers, but I'm going to actually just check Creative Fabrica again. So we'll scroll back up there. Vintage digital paper. Okay, this one will work perfect for some Polaroid pictures, so I'm going to go ahead and download that. And once again, I'll extract them so that they are visible to me. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Place Image tool, which is this little picture icon. And I'm going to find those digital papers. And I'm going to pull in one that's like a white color because that's going to work best for a Polaroid. I'm going to click and drag it over top of my picture that I just created, my Polaroid, and I want to drag it into this curve. This is our frame, so I'll rename that frame. You're going to click and drag to clip it inside. You want to drag it into the name. So here's our picture, our digital paper layer. We're going to click and drag that into the name, and then you'll see it automatically nests right inside. So let's go ahead and lay these out. This is probably a little bigger than I want. Let me look at how many pictures I pulled up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I have 6 pictures that I'm going to try and attempt to put on this mug. We may not use all of them, but what I want to do is I basically want to lay this out like it was scattered pictures. So if I zoom out a little bit, we can get a better visual. The things that I want to watch out for is because this is a full bleed design, I don't want any part of my design to go past this one edge that's right here because that was our edge indicating our mug press layer. So if I check this, you can see that's our mug press layer. I'm going to uncheck the instructions. So I want to make sure that I don't put anything important past this line. So if you are making templates that you plan on selling, you want to make sure that you stay within those parameters so that regardless of what kind of method they use, they're covered. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I'm going to click on my transform panel and maybe make this 1.75. I think that'll work a little bit better for me to sort of scatter this around. Now you don't have to go all the way to the edge. I like to have a little space from the edge. So the second line here is where your design starts. So because we're going to do a full wrap design, we have a little flexibility here in what we do. So I'm going to stick one there. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click and duplicate. You can also do Control J or Command J. Basically, I'm going to set mine like they are scattered. Now, this top margin and bottom margin that you see, if you're doing a design that is meant to just be one side or two sides, then you do want to be mindful of those margins because it just looks better. I see a lot of people who put together mugs and they look really unprofessional because the print is too big. Believe it or not, bigger is not better. You want the product that you put out to look like something that was professionally printed. You don't want it to look like you can't identify appropriate spacing. Just be careful to not get super close to your edges because the height of 15-ounce mugs or 11-ounce mugs can vary depending on the brand. I primarily buy mine from Coastal Business Supply. That's my go-to. They have free shipping over $149. They also have free same-day shipping, which is outstanding. Usually arrives to me in 2 days. I think they're based in Missouri. So Missouri to North Carolina takes 2 days. Can't really beat it. I'm going to right click and duplicate again on my frame. And again, I'm just kind of scattering them out so they look like they are scattered pictures. That's sort of the look I want to go for here. I want to be conscious that I don't have them all rotating in the same angles as well. And we just need one more. Okay, we're going to move these a little bit closer. Once you get them all laid out, you can make those adjustments sort of how they're laid out. Maybe you want them a little closer, a little further, a little higher up, whatever. I am just using my computer mouse to move this, or my keyboards to move it over. Okay. Every time I click off, I'm selecting my background. So what I'm going to do is actually just hit that lock icon so that now when I click off, it's not going to be annoying. So we've got our pictures. We've got them nicely centered in between our two lines here. We can move this one over just a hair more. So now we want to go ahead and import our photos and layer them into our picture frames. Now, by default, your picture frames are going to be in the opposite order. So you can fix that just by clicking and dragging them. But if you click and drag them, you're going to change if they are on top of each other or below each other. So you need to kind of decide how you want them. How they appear in your layers panel in terms of which one's on top and which one's on bottom is how they are going to appear in your document space. So if you don't want that, you can leave them where they are, and then you can just rename them. So we can name this one Picture Frame 1, Picture Frame 2, Picture Frame 3, Picture Frame 4, Picture Frame 5. All right, let's go ahead and import our pictures. I ended up with only 5 pictures, and that's fine. So we will click on our Place Image tool again. And I'm going to go to those pictures that I downloaded. Let's see. You'll notice that if you select multiple pictures, they'll kind of show up like this first, and then you're just kind of just going to click and drag them, and you can kind of space them out, but we'll resize them once we get them into our frames. So I'm going to just give myself a rough idea of how I want to lay these out. I sort of want this to appear like a timeline of photos. So I'm going to put that one in that picture. This one we'll have to debate if that works. There's the beginning. This was, okay. These are my grandparents, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. This is them, oh my gosh, 50, 55, 60 years ago. Must have been 55 years ago. That was them. And then this was them about, oh my goodness, 20 years ago? Gosh, I'm getting old. This is when my aunt got married. These 2 pictures are from the last year, and this is a great picture of a bunch of my family. Just, oops, I adjusted my guide there. Just in case you guys ever wondered what my family looked like, that's my mom. So these are my cousins, and there's my grandfather, my grandmother, and this is actually, I guess, I don't know what they qualify as. She married my grandfather's brother, but he had passed away. Anyways, so just a little history lesson. These are my great aunts and uncles in the back, and then a little bit more of my family. So this is a nice little picture. This was an Oneida Indian Nation dinner event that they were at just a couple of years ago. So we'll see if I can make that one work. I would like to. But let's start with our first one. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in so you guys can see better to this one. So what we want to do is we want to come to picture frame 1, and we're going to drop down our arrow in our layers panel, and we're going to drag our first picture, this picture that we want, into that picture layer that we made blue. So I'm going to click and drag that one. I'm going to drag it into the name. Super easy. Now, It's obviously not lined up, but what we want to do is we're going to make sure we have the picture selected. So not the picture layer, but the picture itself by hitting that down arrow. And now we can just rotate it and we can stretch it out within our frame so that it best fits. So there we've got one. So now let's repeat to our second one. So we'll close that first picture frame so it's not a distraction. We'll click on the down arrow on our second picture frame, which is this one. Always click it to be sure. There's our picture layer. We'll grab that next picture and we'll drag it into the name picture layer. Your cursor should be over the name, and that's going to clip it inside. And then make sure you have the picture itself selected, and we will rotate it and resize it and move it around until it fills our blue space accordingly and we see no blue left. It's always our goal. Okay, I'm going to hold off on this one for a second just because I'm not sure if the rectangle one's going to work, even though I do like that picture a lot. So we'll go to this one next. So this is our picture 4. So there's our picture 4. When we select it, we can see it selected. There's our picture layer. And we will grab this picture. This is them at Washington's bathtub in West Virginia. If you guys didn't see a couple of months ago, back in May, I was visiting my parents. They just relocated from New York to West Virginia. So they live right by Washington's bathtub. So it's a hole in the ground, just in case anyone's wondering. It's a hot spring. So we're going to grab that picture, drag it into the words, the picture layer, the name of that layer. And then once again, we'll resize. We have a lot of wiggle room with this picture because we can make it nice and close. Pretty much as long as we have filled the whole square. So that was good. And then picture frame 5. We will grab that picture of them at Daytona Beach and down into that picture layer. Once again, make sure we have the picture selected and we will rotate it however we need and resize it by just grabbing hold of those corner nodes and getting it to fit how we want. All right, now let's go look at this one and see if I can make this one work. I don't think I can without cutting people out. So I'm going to just drag it in and we'll see what happens from there. So grab my picture, drag it into picture layer, and resize it. Yeah, unfortunately that one won't work, but that's okay. If you find a picture that doesn't work, you select that picture and you hit replace image. And I'll go with this one. And I will rotate that one a little bit so that it is straight. There we go. And move it over. So if we zoom out, now we've got our photos aligned. The next thing we want to do is maybe just adjust our shadows on each photo. So if I zoom back in, we do have a little bit of shadow. Some of it works just fine. I think that like this one, for example, if we go to effects, we're just going to change the rotation of that shadow, which what we need to do is select the down and then select the frame layer and then go to effects. You'll see your outer shadow is checked. And then I'm just going to rotate it up a little bit. See, so now the shadow falls over top of that other picture. I think that that is a little better. And I'll do the same with this one down here. So we're going to select that picture frame here in our layers panel, click down, select the frame layer, only the frame, and then adjust the shadow upwards. All right, so now I'm going to zoom out and let's have a look at what we got here. So now we've got our photo template background. I moved one of my guides over here. Looks like I moved that one. At some point I moved one of those, but anyways, we have our our layout. And now we just want to basically add some embellishments. We can add some text. We can add a cute little quote here on each little picture. We can add some cute Christmas elements. We can add some tape. I definitely want to add some tape, so we'll do that first. And, you know, you can kind of just customize it however you want. So let's add the illusion of tape. So I'm going to zoom in again, and I'm just going to create a piece of tape. So I'm going to select a rectangle. So select my rectangle tool, and then I'm just going to click and drag. It really does not matter what color it is because you are going to be able to change it once we merge it. Now I just put it on a line. Again, doesn't matter where. I want my tape to have little tape teeth. So I'm going to zoom way in so you can see better. And we will select our triangle tool. And then I'm going to make myself some little teeth. So I'm going to make a little triangle by just clicking and dragging. I'm going to make this one black so it'll be easy to see. And I'll click on my transform panel and rotate this to 90 degrees or negative 90 degrees. There we go. And I'll just kind of line it up. So we want it on the edge so that it looks like teeth. And we'll go click on our layers panel and we will right click and duplicate. And then just kind of move it down so that it lines up. Looks a lot like teeth. It can overlap a little bit, I guess. All right, that works. And then we will right click and duplicate, and I'll move that one as well. And then we'll just repeat that process. Right click and duplicate until we get down our length of our tape there. All right, let's see how we're doing. Our teeth are looking a little far apart. I'm going to click and drag to select all of those triangles, and I'm going to go up here to my alignment section, and I'm going to space vertically. There we go. So that now they are evenly spaced. Much better. Much better. And I probably only need two more. So we will just grab the last two by clicking and dragging. We will right click on our layers panel and duplicate, and then we will bring those down. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We can actually just make this a little bit shorter. Perfect. So now we're going to click and drag to select all of our little triangles that we made. And when we have all of them selected in our layers panel, we're going to hit that Boolean tool that says add. I'm going to right click on it and duplicate it. I'm going to go to my my flipping tools, rotation tools, and I'm going to select flip horizontal. And then I'm going to move it all the way to the other end. Make sure I've got it lined up. There we go. Now I want to select both of those triangle teeth sets that we made in our layers panel. And I'm going to hit the add option. And then I'm going to make sure that's selected and also select my rectangle, which should be below it on the layers panel and in our picture. And then I'm going to hit subtract. And just like that, you've created a piece of tape. And you can kind of make it a little smaller if you want. Now, a piece of tape is generally clear, but we want to give it sort of a light yellow sort of hue. And then we also want to adjust that opacity so that it's, you know, 80%, 75%. And now we'll just put tape on our pictures, just like we would if they were Polaroids in real life. And you can adjust the size of this however you want. If I zoom out again so you can see better. Got that one. I'm actually move that one down so it kind of, the corner peeks out a little bit. All right, we will right click and duplicate that to add another. And for this one, we'll put it this way. And basically you're just going to keep right clicking and duplicating them. And in adding them on the different photos that you have until you are happy with how your tape looks. So I'm going to kind of put that one so it looks like it's touching that corner there. And then I'll do another one, maybe 2 on the bottom here. So I'll click on that one again. I'm actually going to move it over so it's a little bit more centered. So right click and duplicate, or Control or Command J. So like I said, you're just going to align your tape however it is that you want it. You can even color your tape, whatever color you want. I'm just trying to make mine have that, you know, that look like these were all taped together in a nice little collage. All right, we'll do a straight one here as well. Oops, that one ran off on me. So if that ever happens to you, you just come to your transform panel and you enter in 0, 0 for your coordinates, and then it will appear up in your top corner. I'm gonna I'll do another straight one here. And then one like this. And I'll do one on the other side. Okay. So now if we zoom out, you can see I have got my tape all in place. Now, the next thing I think I want to do is add sort of like a cute handwritten font quote on here. And then we can go ahead and kind of add some random clip art elements into the back to bring this all together for a cute little full print coffee mug design. So now I'm going to go ahead and add text onto each of these little frames. So what we'll do is we will zoom in and I will scroll to that first one. And I'm going to go ahead and go right on down to picture frame 1 because we are going to want to group our text into that bundle so that it will fall underneath the different pictures. Although I don't think any of them are overlapping enough for that, but it's just good to make that part of your process. So click on my artistic text tool and I'm just going to click and drag to start. I do want my text to be in black, so I'll come over here to my color panel and I will select black. Oops. I floated my interface. Sorry about that. Let's zoom back in there. Okay, and we are going to say, I want to find sort of a cute handwritten font. So, no, not that one. All right, that one will work. And I'm just going to kind of size it, rotate it with my little nodes so that it fits best and fit it in there. And then what I want to do is where this picture frame 1 is, I want to just drag it into the group. So don't drag it into any names or anything. You want to drag it and you should still and you should still see it above your other layers, not inside of their little drop-down menus. So now it's part of picture 1. So if we move picture 1 around, the text will be there. If you want to just make it easy to keep all of your fonts and stuff the same, you can just click that text and you can right click and duplicate and then drag it out of that layer and into your second one. So now you'll just bring it on over. And now it's grouped with that second group. So I'm just using a quote I found off of Pinterest. I mean, honestly, there's a million of them that you could use, especially for a Christmas mug. And I don't think I want my text to be perfectly straight. So, well, that one I'll leave. But this one I kind of want it to be just a little off center. I think that'll give it a cute little look. So again, I'll just right click and duplicate and bring that one over to my picture 3. Oops, it didn't go all the way there, but there we go. And then just drag that one up over here. So this is an example of why I was telling you to do that, because now it's underneath this other frame. So we'll click on it in our layers panel. And we'll type our next word. And then we will just right click and duplicate. You can also just click your text tool and type it again if you want, but this just saves you a step in terms of having to go back over your font selection. So we'll drag it up into picture frame 4 because that's here. And we'll drag our word over. I'm going to adjust this memories because it's a little further down than I was intending. But I do sort of want it to look off-centered so that it doesn't look like it was written so perfectly. And then there's my together one. And I will right-click and duplicate one more time and into that picture frame 5. So drag it up in there above your frame and your picture level. And then bring it on over. Okay. So then you can zoom out and you can kind of decide how you feel about it. Now, if you were making this into something that was super Christmassy, you could use more Christmas font. You could add some snowflakes to it, etc. I'm kind of trying to make something that's Christmas vibe and make it still a good memory photo cup. So now I want to add some cute little clip art around. So I'm just going to do that by going back over to Creative Fabrica, and I will type in Christmas clip art. See what kind of things we come up with. I kind of like these little snowmen. How much space do I got here? Let's see what this little set's got for me. Mittens, tree, and a deer. Well, I don't think it's quite the vibe we're going for, but sometimes you have to download a few until you find the perfect ones. And that's why I kind of do like using Creative Fabrica, especially for digital papers and fonts, because you really just never know. You might think something's going to work, and then when you get it, you might hate it. So it's definitely worthwhile to be able to download as much as you need to find the perfect little set for you. Kind of want something that has like presence. Actually, this one's kind of fun. because this one's got different words and things like this. You can always make yourself your own speech bubbles. That's a fun idea as well. Maybe I'll turn that into a different tutorial. All right, so I'll download this one. We certainly don't want this to drag on forever, so I gotta get on, you know. And then once it's done downloading, we'll hit that extract all option. I know that normally in the past I've always downloaded stuff beforehand. I get people all the time who don't know how to extract files or don't even know how to download them. So that's one of the reasons I'm starting to cover that stuff and to give you a better idea about the creative process. I hope that that's a little bit more beneficial because a lot of questions I do see are about the creative process as well. So we'll click on that place image tool again, and we are going to, hold on, before we do that, you want to make sure you have no layers selected because otherwise your clip art is going to go where you don't want it to go. So just make sure you click off of your workspace and then you hit place image tool and go to that Christmas clip art that we just downloaded. We want the PNGs, and I'm just gonna select a few. I think those will work. And now, just like we did with the pictures, I'm honestly just going to kind of put them on the edge so that I can move them around how I see fit and make them work for my design. And then I'm really just going to fill my little spaces around here. There's no rhyme or reason, just kind of lay them out however you want. The main thing is just making sure they are all on top. If we look at our background layer here, all of these are on top. If you wanted them behind your pictures, then you would, of course, make that kind of adjustment. Actually, I don't like this one, so I'm just going to hit that trash can and get rid of that because it blends in a little too much. I could always change the background, but we'll just move these around. Oh, that stocking blends in too much as well, so I'm going to get rid of that one. Now, let's say you get all the way done and you don't really like your background, like I'm questioning mine right now. You can just click on it, hit that unlock button, hit the replace image, and go back and check on some of your other digital paper. I have a lot of Christmas digital paper. It's probably the one I download more than anything else. But we can try the green one and see if we like that better. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So I'm going to hit replace image again. And maybe try something like this. I don't love that one either. No. All right, I'm going back to my red stars. Maybe some different clip art options would have been a better idea here. Now, from this, you can choose to leave this as is. You can add some additional text, maybe a cute banner across the top, like making memories. You really have a lot of options here. This is a fun way. This is like a fun idea to play with. And I wanted to make sure I cover this because I see so many questions about how to create photo mugs. So that's the main reason we're doing this. We're doing Christmas in July. So this was a good take on that. And again, you could change out your clip art if you don't love it, which I might do after this. But for now, once this is done, there are two steps that you want to do. First, you want to go to File and Save As to save your working file. This way, when you have multiple customers who are asking for this design, all you have to do is come back in and swap out all of your pictures and change your text and you're done. And everything is already laid out in this template that you've set up. And then in order to be able to export this and print it, you want to go ahead and go to File and then Export. You want to choose your PNG option, whole document, hit Export, and now you have your Merry Erase photo mug. And then you can just import that into print. So that is it. That is our tutorial today on how to create a Merry Moments photo mug. Sorry I didn't choose the best clip art. I did not pre-plan that. I should have though. But hopefully you guys got the understanding of how to lay things out, how to work with your template, how to incorporate your backgrounds, and just some fun ideas of what you can do with this photo template idea. I look forward to seeing what you create. Make sure to show it off and sub that if you do follow our tutorial, because we would love to see it. And once again, if you have not checked out the Affinity Designer Digital Graphic Design Masterclass, be sure to take advantage of it. It's such an amazing course. It is learn at your own pace, on your own time, 100 hours of video content, chances to win prizes, design challenges, so much fun, and people are loving it. And I know that if you are struggling with Affinity Designer and you want to be really great at it and be able to create your own designs, then it's going to be the perfect class for you. As always, thank you so much for joining us and have a great rest of your evening.